Today we dive into Jacob chapter 2. Nephi has passed away and his people aren't as interested in living according to the manner of happiness as they might have while Nephi lived among them. In chapter 1, Jacob broaches the subject of their wickedness and their abominations. Now, I use these two terms strictly because they are the terms used by Lehi and also reiterated by Jacob. So first, let's see what Lehi had to say. In 1 Nephi chapter 1, verse 19, we read, "And it came to pass that the Jews did mock him because of the things which he testified of them, for he truly testified of their wickedness and their abominations. And he testified that the things which he saw and heard, and also the things which he read in the book, manifested plainly of the coming of a Messiah, and also the redemption of the world." Hebrew prophets frequently used word links. Isaiah used them frequently and consistently. So what are these two things which the people at Jerusalem were guilty of, which the Nephites under Jacob's ministry were also guilty of? Jacob mentions them in verses 15 and 16 of Jacob chapter 1, where we read, "And now it came to pass that the people of Nephi, under the reign of the second king, began to grow hard in their hearts, and indulge themselves somewhat in wicked practices, such as like unto David of old, desiring many wives and concubines, and also Solomon his son. Yea, and they also began to search much gold and silver, and began to be lifted up somewhat in pride." Their wickedness was in their growing avarice, as evidenced by their labors to search for gold and silver and riches. It begs the question, why would a Zion community need material wealth? Now, their abomination was also revealed, which was their desiring more than one wife and concubines. And in Jacob, chapter 2, we read in verses 24 and 25, the same. "Behold, David and Solomon truly had many wives and concubines, which thing was abominable before me, saith the Lord. Wherefore, thus saith the Lord, I have led this people forth out of the land of Jerusalem by the power of mine arm, that I might raise up unto me a righteous branch from the fruit of the loins of Joseph." Do you see now that this is why Lehi was led out of Jerusalem? God wanted a righteous branch of the tribe of Joseph. He wanted a righteous branch of virtuous and just men who were not like David and Solomon. Now, before I go any further, I know how heated debates are in online LDS circles about polygamy. This video is not about polygamy in LDS circles today. This is strictly about what God said in the Book of Mormon. I have seen some LDS people call others polygamy deniers, as if using it as an epithet paints a black stain on those who do not agree with it. I do not agree with it, but I also do not care to discuss it beyond what is written in the Book of Mormon. Some people use the caveat in verse 30 in part to justify their belief in supporting polygamy. So, if you are watching this and God did not explicitly command you to take on more than one wife or a concubine, please do not bring your arguments here. They will be deleted. Now, in Jacob chapter 2, verse 34 and also 35, we read, "And now, behold, my brethren, ye know that these commandments were given to our father Lehi, wherefore ye have known them before, and ye have come unto great condemnation, for ye have done these things which ye ought not to have done. Behold, ye have done greater iniquities than the Lamanites, our brethren. Ye have broken the hearts of your tender wives, and lost the confidence of your children, because of your bad examples before them. And the sobbings of their hearts ascend up to God against you. And because of the strictness of the word of God, which cometh down against you, many hearts died, pierced with deep wounds." So, here we read that the Nephites began practicing this abomination while the Lamanites did not. And for this reason, God told Jacob that the Lamanites were more righteous than the Nephites for keeping this specific commandment. We have the term abomination used as a word link in the scriptures, connecting the practice of having multiple wives and concubines. And now the Nephites were doing what their fathers were doing back at Jerusalem, which contributed to their downfall. With this in mind, now let's go back to verses 31 and 32 of Jacob, chapter 2. For behold, I the Lord have seen the sorrow and heard the mourning of the daughters of my people in the land of Jerusalem. Yea, and in all the lands of my people, because of the wickedness and abominations of their husbands. And I will not suffer, saith the Lord of hosts, that the cries of the fair daughters of this people which I have led out of the land of Jerusalem shall come up unto me against the men of my people, saith the Lord of hosts. God made it clear that for there to be a righteous branch of Joseph, the men were not to have more than one wife and no concubines. God was not in a hurry for Lehi's children to populate the promised land. On the contrary, God had prepared Ishmael's family so that Lehi's children were able to marry one wife or one husband from Ishmael's children. And it so happened that Zoram was around to marry one of Ishmael's daughters, 2 families, 1 wife for each man, and 1 husband for each woman. Putting all these passages together in context with their word links leaves absolutely no doubt and no room for refutation.